How are you guys doing? Today is Monday, May 31st, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an individual profile on Shane Bieber, the elite starting pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, who most recently not only won the American League Cy Young Award, but he also was the MLB American League Triple Crown winner, which means he led all American League pitchers in wins, which he did during the shortened season. He led in strikeouts, and he had the lowest ERA out of all pitchers. And of course, that's a very big honor to take home. And with this episode, in addition to that season, I'm just going to give a little bit more background and actually give like the numbers, the accolades, and the achievements that Shane Bieber has been able to achieve thus far in his 4-year career, and just show a little bit of the trajectory that he's on, and explain why out of all the athletes in 2021, I have him ranked as one of my elites. So just to get started, if you're not familiar with him, he wears number 57 with the Cleveland Indians. He has amazing control. He has a very beautiful pitch. He throws the ball very fast. He has amazing control. And I think this is a player that's very well on his way to being one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. So he's originally from Orange, California. He would find himself playing at the University of California, Santa Barbara, initially as a walk-on. He would initially find his way starting on the team as a junior, and where he would kind of really go off. And he would eventually get drafted by the Cleveland Indians in the 4th round of the 2016 MLB draft out of college. And ever since then, his career's kind of been cemented. His very first year was his age 23 season in 2018, a season in which he pitched 20 games for a Cleveland Indians team that would end up winning the American League Central, actually. This is the year after Corey Kluber won the Cy Young. In his very first season as a starter, Shane Bieber would finish with an 11-10 record in those 20 games pitched. He started 19 of them. He would finish with a 4.55 ERA, the highest ERA, of course, he's had in his career. In the 114 innings that he pitched, he allowed 130 hits, which is 16 more hits than he had innings pitched, and he struck out 118. He had just more strikeouts than innings pitched. He wouldn't really get recognized for anything, but getting 11 wins in that season would actually go a long way for the Indians. And I believe in that year they would end up losing in the ALDS to the Astros. 2018 was the season where the Red Sox went on to win it all, but that was Shane Bieber's first season in the MLB. No one was really touching him, but he was still, he wasn't on many people's radars, but he still had a winning record fresh out the gate. His second full season was the 2019 season, which was the last full season that he's actually played in the MLB, considering how shortened 2020 was. But regardless, in 2019, his second year in the majors, Shane Bieber would make his very first Major League All-Star game. In his age 24 season, he would make his only All-Star game that he's made to date. He would finish with a 15-8 record in 34 games in a season where the Indians finished with the second best record in the American League Central. They had 2 more wins in the previous season, but they actually went on to miss the playoffs in 2019. Regardless, in the 34 games that he pitched, Shane Bieber, like I said, would pitch. He would finish with a 3.28 ERA after pitching 3 complete games and 2 shutouts, leading the American League in both stat categories. This would be the only season in which he's pitched over 200 innings. He pitched 214.1 innings. He allowed 186 hits in those 214 innings. That's 28 less hits than innings. He finished with 259 strikeouts on the season, which is 45 more strikeouts than innings pitched. He will go, in addition to being named an All-Star, he would finish 4th in a Cy Young race in which Justin Verlander would win. He finished under Garrett Cole and Charlie Morton as well, just to give a little bit more of context. Even though they didn't make the playoffs, the MLB was starting to become aware of who Shane Bieber was. And I believe Shane Bieber went on to be named the All-Star Game MVP when the game was in Cleveland. Don't take my complete word for it, but I think right then and there, people started becoming aware of who Shane Bieber was, and that was just his second year in the league. His third year in the league was the 2020 season, which many people remember as the season that was shortened due to COVID. The 162 game season was shortened down to 60, as of course the spread of COVID made the start of the MLB pretty uncertain. But they started up in the middle of July, and in the 60 games that were played by the Cleveland Indians, Shane Bieber would pitch 12 of them, and this is a season where they would finish with the second best record in the American League Central, and they would go on to make the playoffs because the MLB actually extended the playoffs. But before I get into that, Shane Bieber going into the season, they did not have an all-star game because there were so few games. But he would finish as the Cy Young winner, and he would finish fourth in an MVP race in the American League, right behind Jose Abreu, Jose Ramirez, and DJ LeMahieu. But in his Cy Young season, he would finish with an 8-1 record in the 12 games that he pitched. He finished with he led the American League in wins, so that's the first crown. He would finish with the lowest ERA in the American Leagues. He finished with a 1.63 ERA, which to date is the lowest ERA he's ever put up in a season. In 77 innings, he would go on to allow 46 hits, which is 29 less hits. He had 28 less hits than innings pitched in the only full season in which he's played in the MLB. Which is to show you like how dominant 46 hits and 77 innings pitched is. And he would also lead the American League in strikeouts, which is the third crown of the Triple Crown. He would strike out 122 batters in 77 innings, which is exactly 45 more strikeouts than innings pitched. He would lead the American League in ERA plus with 284. He would finish with the top in FIP, fielding independent pitching, with a 207 rating. He allowed only 5.4 hits per 9 innings, which was the best mark in all of baseball. And he struck out 14.2 batters per 9 innings, which out of all pitchers was the best ratio. In this year, they would go on, once they made the playoffs, they would end up losing to the Yankees in the AL wild card, even though Shane Bieber he didn't have necessarily the best game against the Yankees, but following that season, that is, I believe, this season is what I believe earned him standing in this list. Of course, after this point, it was the second year in a row, so it wasn't a fluke at this point. And if they would have named All-Stars, it would have been very obvious that Shane Bieber would have been named an All-Star. And, of course, after all this, he was named to the second ever All-MLB first team just to continue on. So that was Shane Bieber's last full season, a season in which they lost to the Yankees. And that would transition us to exactly where we are right now. So far in the 2021 season, which is still going on, Shane Bieber has started 11 games in a season in which the Cleveland Indians are actually playing with one of the best records in the American League Central. They have the second best record, actually. They trailed the Chicago White Sox by 3.5 games in the division, as they currently sit 5 games over 500 at the moment. Within the 11 games so far this season, Shane Bieber has a 5-3 record with a 3.13 ERA, which is the lowest, that is the second lowest ERA he's ever put up in a season, technically compared to his Triple Crown season. Of course, that makes sense. He's coming close to last season in terms of innings pitched. He's pitched 5 less innings than last year. He's pitched 72 innings. He's allowed 60 hits, which is 12 less hits than innings pitched, which is still incredibly good. And as of right now, he's leading the American leagues in strikeouts for what could be the second year in a row. He has 110 strikeouts in 72 innings pitched, which of course is 38 more strikeouts than innings pitched. So, of course, he's working on that, and he's led the American League in batters faced so far, while he just turned 26 this year. I think if we're looking at this player, this is a player that's just entering what could be an amazing era of pitching, especially in his own career. I personally cannot wait until he plays some more. And I think definitely for the 2021 calendar year, I think it's more than fair to list Shane Bieber as one of the league's elite. I hope all is well. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 9-10 minutes of this piece. I want to wish Shane Bieber a happy 26th birthday, and if you ever get a chance to watch him, he's currently wearing number 56. He is the ace of the Cleveland Indians organization. I have no idea as to whether he is going to stay with the Cleveland Indians going forward, but as of right now, as an individual talent, I think it would be ludicrous to not consider Shane Bieber one of the best pitchers in the league and to not consider him an elite pitcher at that. Once again, thanks for listening to all 10 minutes of this piece. I am James Sims, and once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on June 1st with another episode of The Elite. Until then, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 10 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you tomorrow. I'm James Sims, and this is The Elite. Thanks for listening.